make it better and people will demand you make it bigger. And so
Yeah.
I've always focused on let's deliver a great service to our clients. Let's be the best and people will help you grow it.
Welcome back to the High Voltage Business Builders. We're going to be talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll today with Rob, because those are the topics he wanted to talk about today. No, in all seriousness, in a quick time of conversation with Rob, I've gotten to appreciate him and what he's doing. And I look forward to the opportunity to get to know him more. And so I'm here with him today on this podcast. I'm honored to have you here, sir. Let's break it down and get into some of that combo.
All right.
All right. So which of those particular topics did you want to talk about today? Or do you want to not go over sex, drugs, and rock and roll? I mean, it's you. It's your show, my man.
I always remember the Meatloaf song and how for years I thought it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but it was actually sex, drums, and rock and roll. Took me years to figure that out.
Oh man, I screw up lyrics so badly. Like I love music and I played music for a long time, but I wasn't a singer and lyrics were not important. It was just the rhythm, the beat, or the improvisation. So whenever I hear that song, I think I can't even say the right lyrics anymore. I think it goes something to the effect of, I got a chicken to ride and he's running home or something like that.
Some days I pray for something. Some days I pray for soul. Some days I just pray to the God of sex and drums and rock and roll. And
yeah, no, I would never get those lyrics correctly. I'm not the guy who can, I'm not an Eminem on the beats here. So you'll have to correct me on that. I usually get the music correctly and I get the melody down, which is probably why I like business, because it doesn't have to be scripted as much as some other topics in businesses and conversations. So Rob, what's keeping you busy these days for those who are listening? What should they know about you and what you're doing right now?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be an entrepreneur for almost a little over 10 years now, actually. I own several different businesses focused in remote staffing, accounting. I have one in building services out in California, other things like that. I do have an online website and magazine that I have a great team who helps me put that out. And yeah, just kind of going after where I see my clients' needs and what the next thing we can do to help them.
Awesome. So you sounds like you get about 4 hours of sleep every night.
It feels like that. I think my wife works harder than I do, but it definitely feels like that.
Why do you say that? Is she handling kids, or is she working too? What's she doing?
Oh, she works in the organization as well. And I just, she can function on limited sleep. I definitely see my quality go down.
Yeah. Well, as a homeschooling dad with 4 kids and my wife, kind of leading that charge, I understand how busy that can take the home life. She doesn't get involved in the business due to the amount of effort. Maybe later on she'll get involved more. How deep is your wife? Oh, she does
both. She runs one of her portfolio companies and she takes care of the kids and home.
Good for her. Yeah, that's fantastic, man. So family and life and business is an important and integral part of who you are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we completed several acquisitions in 2022. So we're still in the process of consolidating those and just trying to get the team up to speed. But we're blessed with some very, very amazing team members, and they're definitely doing above and beyond.
So 10 years ago, what were you doing before you got started in remote staffing?
To be honest, my last real 9-to-5, I was a security guard. I didn't go to school for anything business related. I didn't work in corporate America. I was a security guard. And I had rental properties that I started buying in college and started building a little small portfolio, nothing fancy. And from there, I wanted to work in property management, but nobody would hire me because I had no experience. So I even offered, hey, I'll work for 6 months completely for free. Nobody would take me up on it. So I actually went out and bought a property management company that came up for sale and just hit the ground running.
That's fantastic, man. So what was the first property you bought? Was it a fixer-upper? Was it a flipper? Was it, a rental?
It was a rental. It was definitely needed some fixing up. It was, if memory serves, it was $69,000 and we put about 25 into it. We fixed it up and rented it out. I've never enjoyed the flipping mentality. I don't feel like it's really my thing, but we would buy something, fix it up, rent it out for a couple of years and then sell it 5-6 years down the road. We would even sell to tenants sometimes, which was one of the things I loved most, is I would work with them and, hey, I'd love for you to own this home. You're great tenants. And I would actually work with them to get everything set up.
You still own any of those properties? Is that still part of what you do, or?
I've sold most of them. I still have one small office building actually where we're at. And of course our personal home, but things have been so busy in business and the market was so high. I just felt like it was a good time to cash out. But once it crashes, I'll be right back there.
Well, a lot of people are wondering if that's going to happen, or he says once it crashes, you got a different, like break that down for just a second. You do feel there's a crash coming for that market?
I have no idea. I don't
Yeah.
pretend to be an expert. I read the news just like everybody else, and I have no secrets on
Put your
that.
pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Well, there's opportunity. You can smell it. There's
Yeah.
opportunity coming. I don't know how it's going to look or how it's going to, flesh itself out, but it's definitely some critical changes, let's say, without forecasting or being predicted, getting our
Yeah.
magic 8 ball out here. I'd shake it and the answer would be don't know, right?
Yeah.
But there's things we're challenged to create and opportunities where we stumble upon, but it sounds to me like you may have stumbled in. Did you stumble into the remote workforce thing? Then how'd you make a leap from real estate to remote work-based and accounting? And
It's all connected. I had the property management company, and a friend of mine was a business broker. He reached out because he had a building services company for sale,
Okay.
gutter cleaning, window, power washing, that kind of thing. Still own that. And so I thought, hey, it'd be really cool if we could expand our offering to our clients and have more services to offer. So we did that. They were both in California. It was so difficult to find good staff, and this was pre-COVID, that we ended up hiring remotely and just had an amazing experience recruiting out of Mexico and hiring some great people, some of which are still with us today. And yeah, it went so well. We ended up hiring 10 within a couple of months to work at both companies. And it was so successful that I was just comparing notes with a friend of mine. And he said, hey, that sounds really cool. Could you help me find somebody? And
Right.
so he ended up hiring a couple, then he told people, and it was a total accident. And yeah,
Right.
now it's our main thing. Between all of our entities, we're just over our 400 employees right now.
Good for you, man. So is it referral based that started to grow that? Are you a marketing expert that started to figure out paid traffic ads, or how did you, grow to that kind of level that fast?
It was almost entirely word of mouth. I'm actually extremely weak in marketing. I believe it was S. Truett Cathy. He said, make it better and people will demand you make it bigger. And so
Yeah.
I've always focused on let's deliver a great service to our clients. Let's be the best and people will help you grow it.
That's such a great phrase, man. That's so great. I mean, you could take that into e-commerce or real estate
Yeah.
or business or anything. I mean, like we make products, we make them better and people want more of them. And that's the end result of great customer service and of course, loyalty to the business and of course, loyalty to your customers and your clients, which obviously you guys have done. What is your biggest service impact you guys are working on? Like, where's the biggest need you're finding clients coming to you with continuously and saying, hey, this is my problem. How does your solution fit into that?
The most common position we're getting is in accounting for sure. I don't know if I recently saw an article that the US has lost something like 32,000 accountants, or maybe it was 32%.
Is
I
it?
forget.
Wow.
It was basically an article on the accounting industry is in real trouble because new people are not coming in. Just this
Yeah.
week, I actually saw that there was an article on they're considering lowering the requirements to be a CPA because right now you need 5
Yep.
years.
And they're aging out, if I understood correctly, because the older generation where it was, more of a known and more of a standard kind of career path has kind of got to the point in their, 60s or so where they're like, hey, we're kind of done with this, selling it or moving out of it. Is that where your findings led you to conclusion as well?
A lot of that, yeah, it's kind of like pilots where they can't get enough new ones to get in the pipeline to cancel out the ones that are aging out. So we get a lot of that. Yeah,
I don't think I want pilots getting lower qualifications. I'm cool with accounting and be to some degree, not quite the same. I mean, I suppose you can crash a business like you can crash a plane. However, I did see something very similar to what you just said as they were lowering the requirements for pilots.
Mhm.
And I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Mark my words, give it 15 years, we may not even need pilots.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? There's going to be the Tesla Semi just started to roll out. Are there going to be Tesla planes next?
Maybe not that brand, but the technology exists.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have autopilot. So if nothing else, you'll need fewer people or the number of hours they can fly will be increased because maybe it'll just be takeoff and landing. But yeah, I definitely think we'll see some massive changes in that industry.
I don't think that would, I mean, look, if I was going to be coming along and I had an automated plane and all of a sudden, it had the blue screen of death show up on the front console, I'd be like, dang, this is not going to end well.
Yeah. We'll see.
It reminds me of a joke my dad had one time. He used to tell me they get on the plane and the guys were, basically the joke goes very similar to that. There was an experimental plane and everybody got on board. And when the pilot came over the intercom, he was saying, hey, everybody, welcome to the first flight of, experimental airlines. And I'm going to be your pilot. And just so you know, it's going to be really safe and all this good stuff. And just don't worry. We got everything under control. Just don't worry. We got everything under control. Just don't worry. We got everything under control. Yeah, I was like, Dad tells that joke so much better than I do. But I don't know that automation and everything is good. Is everything automated in your accounting side with your remote staff? Is that how you guys do business, or?
That's not our strength. Our strength is finding great people, but we're also big advocates of automation where appropriate. If you can have a software that cuts down the man hours needed, great. If you need great people to bridge the gap from one software to another, we help with that as well. We're about the most efficient solution, regardless of, even if it's not us. I've told clients, we're not the best fit for you. Check this out, and I think they'll help you.
Now, do you take people from the bookkeeping side all the way through, tax returns, K1s, and out the other end too, or are you predominantly focused on just some, what particular services are your bread and butter really? Is it A to Z, or are you focused on specific areas?
We're A to Z with a firm understanding of our limitations. We do business and personal taxes. We do bookkeeping, AR, AP. And then a lot of times if a company grows enough, we'll move to the staffing side and said, hey, great news. You have enough, you can justify a full-time staff accountant or a full-time bookkeeper or what have you. And and that's how Gordian Financial started. Is we had Gordian staffing first, and we had a lot of clients that didn't need a full-time accounting staff person. So we would go fractional and started a bookkeeping service to keep up with them. And then now they can grow into it.
Now, where does most of your staff remote in from? And they are all remote, if I understand correctly.
Almost all. We do have an office here in Omaha for Gordian staffing. We have an office in Houston for Gordian Financial. So we do have some domestic employees, but we don't hide the fact that we're very big on hiring the best talent, regardless of where they are in the world. So
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So probably about 90% are hired out of Mexico. We have offices in Guadalajara, Mexico City, and we're opening a third one either later this year or maybe 2024. And then we also have a small satellite office in Manila that we opened last year in the Philippines.
Excellent. And I assume you have a pretty rigorous hiring practice to determine the levels and obviously certifications of the individuals.
We have offices in both places. So we have HR, we have recruiters. They take them through the same pipeline that we would domestically. And that was the other part, is we have Gordian Financial. The skilled accountants at Gordian Financial do the technical interviews for Gordian staffing. So they make sure we're hiring the best people who have the talent, who have the knowledge, et cetera.
Cool. So from a business, if I might switch gears for just a second, and a business interpersonal thing, what is your superpower? Like if somebody had asked you, this is like, I found my thing, not just the business successful side of it. There's differences in the nuances of creating successful businesses. And some folks don't always know exactly what they're good at and all of that. Mm-hmm. Where's yours? Where do you feel like your strengths are? If someone was listening to you today, what could you speak to on that?
My superpower, if I can call it that, is the ability to put two things together that have never been, like, people would look at that and go, they have nothing in common. And for whatever reason, it just clicks on, hey, I guess my superpower is the question, what if? Like, what if we tried this? What if this went together? And a lot of the ideas are really bad, but some of them are pretty awesome. And so I guess you could say I'm the idea guy. And unfortunately, my poor team is the one that actually has to implement and keep pace with the ideas. But yeah, I got a pretty awesome team.
Well, and it's good to have an awesome team around you, which leads me to the next question, I'm sure, which would make sense, and at least in my brain, to follow up. And have you ever done a DISC assessment around these? Do you have a really, because I could almost pin you into the DI side. Would that be pretty, with maybe a little
strong D, strong
thrown
I.
into it? Yeah. Yep. For those who aren't paying attention, I'd encourage you to go check that out. We do DISC assessments for anybody who wants to get involved in our business, because I'm really looking at those who have the right skill set and aptitude for the daily, weekly, monthly operational components that e-com requires. And I'm sure on your end, a DI person in the accounting or bookkeeping field isn't going to fit very well. Am I wrong?
Yeah. And a lot of people, they try to talk to me about the details of accounting. And I go, no. I'm not an accountant. Yeah. I'm a business consultant. I can tell you numbers go, black is good, red is bad. Yeah. But other than that, I just help our clients with things they need beyond the detail. But I make no pretensions about being an accountant. I started the accounting company because I'm so bad at accounting, I needed help. And so just like with staffing.
Yeah. Strong DI with a bit of S tied into that, folks. That's dominant and influencing, influencer, and steady. And C is the conscientious type. Not that you are not conscientious. It's just most males are not necessarily in the SC category. As much as like my wife, who's an strong SC, balances me out really well. Is your wife similar to that? Is she a balancing, almost an opposite
She
attract?
and I are very opposite, and we
Yeah.
often joke about like, what the heck? Why are we so different? Like, it's
You're like, what color's that balloon? And she's like, it's yellow. And I'm like, no, it's blue. And she's like, no, it's yellow. I'm like, no, it's blue. Like we have this, we see some things very much the same and others we see them very differently. And it sounds like you've got a similar kind of structure with your wife. Opposites attract, right? Just out of curiosity, how'd you meet?
We met in church, actually.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Next week will be our 10-year anniversary, actually. So.
Oh, congrats.
Thank
10
you.
years. That's fantastic.
Yeah. But no, in life, and also especially in business, opposites attracting, it can be very powerful. I heard a great statement years ago, and it said, you can increase your strengths by your weaknesses by inches and your strengths by miles. So give up the idea of being well-rounded, because nobody's well-rounded. Find what you're amazing at, and then hire the people to help you in the areas where you're weak. And so
100%.
I've definitely followed that.
Yeah, I knew why we resonated, and now I get a little bit better picture as to why that is. My wife and my business partner for the last 10 years are both very strong SCs. So they are the ones who can implement, see a path forward, either in the home life or the business life, and they kind of like figure out where to take that idea and kind of make it actually execute and implement. I'm the idea guy. I do the what if thing too. A lot of times they're like, what if, how stupid that is? Did you not see that you can't do that? And I'm like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's try it. And then my business partner is like, well, are we going to do all those things this year? And I'm like, well, we're going to shoot for it and we'll see what happens. Whatever falls out that doesn't work gets killed.
Yep.
And he's like, but I don't want to put so much energy into that if it isn't going to work, if it isn't going to be what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, we're going to give it a shot.
Yep.
And I appreciate that in your personality very much. So, hey, what are the things you're most focused on right now? What are your daily, weekly, monthly things that are keeping you very busy at this moment?
I mean, I'm always a sales guy at heart. I love sales because it's a great data gathering opportunity. You find out what clients need. You find out their feedback about what you need to improve. Like if you're not going to go with us, hey, no problem. Tell me what we can do better. What do you wish we did? So I love that. I'm doing a fair amount of speaking and podcasts and stuff like that these days. As I said, we did several acquisitions last year. So I'm just kind of focused on consolidation, bringing in the right people and trying to do that. Definitely a lot of hiring going on this year, but just focusing on that side of things.
Awesome. So where do you see, I mean, because we're big picture visionary kind of people, where do you see yourself? I know it's hard to predict, but kind of where do you see yourself? Are you steady, Susan all the way through the next few years? Are there a few things you just haven't done yet that you're like maybe personal or professional goals where you're just like, I haven't jumped off, a tower yet. I'm going to do that. Or maybe I haven't, done this next business thing and I'm going to do that. Or my next goal is 800 employees. Like where is your, next 2, 3, 4 year vision kind of taking you?
Sure. We definitely want to break 1,000 employees this year, hopefully 1,500. There's a lot of hiring, a lot of new people we need, a lot of new services I'd like to offer to help our clients. Long-term, 10, 15, 20 years, my goal is actually to get back into charity. I was actually a pastor for 2 years. Those who know me would probably find that a little surprising, but I love helping people. I love charity work, and that's what I'm really passionate about. But what I found was I wasn't great at raising money. I didn't have the patience to raise $25, $50, but I was really good at making it. So the whole purpose of me doing all of this is to set up the structure in place that I can do it all myself, not myself, but get started myself and launch projects myself. And then hopefully I will have saved enough or made enough money for my clients that I can say, hey, I'll make you a deal. We've saved you, $3 million over the past 5 years. Cut me a check for 1% of that to this foundation, please. And hopefully we'll have a position of trust with people that we've done right by and that they'll join us in that. So that's the 20-year.
Purpose as a mission, right? And business as a mission. That's very cool. Thank you for sharing those insights, Rob. Is there, let's give people your link to your website real quick. We'll put it in the show notes as well, guys. Let's tell them really quick what maybe you got for them if they check this out.
Sure. Yeah, you can check out slicingthegordianknot.com. We're offering a free consulting session if anybody just wants to, pitch their ideas, ask for advice, just commiserate. You're going through a rough time. Hey, I've been through plenty of rough times. And we work with clients in 27 states through staffing, consulting, and accounting. So I feel like we've got a very broad scope of what the industry and what the economy is doing, and hopefully we can be a help to people.
Awesome. Rob, thank you for sharing that with me. I know the people who listen to this podcast are also gleaning information about the things we structure and do in our business continuously, which sounds like you're doing the same. Build on the right foundation. Makes it so much easier to scale the business. And if you want to sell it later on, it's a lot easier. But when your bookkeeping and accounting are in order, and once you get past the stage of startup in that entrepreneurial mindset, and you want to move that leap to business builder, you have to put your finances and your accounting in order. And if you guys enjoyed this conversation and love what Rob had to say today, check him out. I consider him to be a high voltage business builder. And I'm very honored that you came on today to share with us some interesting information. And I wish you the best on your luck and your goals and everything you got doing. Best of luck.
Thanks for having me.